Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon deck profile video. So today I'm going to be taking a look at BT10, and BT10 offers us lots of new and powerful cards to build and iterate on some new and existing decks. And today's deck I'm going to be taking a look at is going to be the Gammamon deck. So Gammamon finally got enough support to, well, actually have a cohesive and coherent deck, and its gameplay strategy seems to be centered around building up into its level 5s and make sure that its level 5s are as powerful and effective as they possibly can be, utilizing various different abilities to make them a very strong Digimon. So with all that said and done, let's get into the deck profile. Starting off with the Digitama, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Gurimon as the main Digitama. So Gurimon is going to be the draw Digitama engine, and if you want to run a 5th Digitama or swap out the Digitamas based on how you feel like you want to play and how you feel like the deck wants to play, then by all means do so. But because we're not necessarily going to be going all the way up into our level 6s, we're not going to be drawing as often as we generally would, so we need alternative ways to be able to draw cards to make up for that lack in evolution. So Gurimon having this nice inheritable build of when attacking once per turn. If this Digimon has 6,000 or more DP, basically almost anything that's level 4 or above in the deck, then we get to draw 1 card, and that's just what makes this card pretty good, is it allows us to be aggressive with our lower stage Digimon. Next, on to the rookies, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Gammamon. So this is the BT8 version of Gammamon, and this Gammamon is not only good for helping us draw cards because of his ability native to him, where during your turn, once per turn, when you play a red tamer, we get to draw a card. Most red tamers don't really have on-play abilities to help us gain extra value, so Gammamon sitting passively on the field helps us basically have our tamers replace themselves when we're playing them. Then on top of that, his inheritable ability is also pretty decent, where he has a when attacking ability. If this Digimon has 6,000 or more DP, again, most of our level 4s and above, then we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with 3,000 DP or less to act as some solid control for the opponent's low-level Digimon. Next, I'm going to be running 3 copies of Gammamon. So this was the pre-release promo version of Gammamon, and this Gammamon is really good at being hyper-aggressive with. He is a little bit more expensive to digivolve into in terms of a level 3 Digimon, costing 1, which isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world depending on setup, but ideally we're going to try to be able to play him for free off of one of our other cards, so to be able to have him get on the field, and this is the most aggressive out of all of the Gammamons, just because he has 4,000 DP. We have easy ways to be able to boost it, to be able to reach that 6,000 DP threshold if we really want to try to pair him up with some of our abilities, and on top of that, his own native ability is pretty good at picking apart the opponent's field, just because he has the ability where during your turn, while you have a red tamer in play, then this Digimon can also attack into the opponent's unsuspended Digimon, allowing for our Digimon to actually be able to respond and react to the opponent outside of deletion type of abilities that red generally wants to play with. Next up, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Gammamon. So this is the tournament pack promo version of Gammamon, and this version of Gammamon is going to be acting as the deck's DP booster. So he has the inheritable ability where during your turn, while you have a Hiro in play, then this Digimon gets plus 2,000 DP, so it makes whatever Digimon we're going to be using a little bit stronger, especially since we already know that one of the heroes also has some good ways to be able to DP boost our Digimon, so we could be hyper aggressive with relatively early. And then the last rookie of the deck is going to be 3 copies of Gammamon. So this promo version is going to be the box topper promo that was originally in Starter Deck 11. And what this Gammamon is doing is he's just adding some extra control into the deck, just because he has this nice on-play ability where we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with 2,000 DP or less, and an inheritable when attacking ability where we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with 2,000 DP or less, so we have multiple different ways to be able to control and mitigate some of the opponent's low-level Digimon. Next, on to the level 4s, I'm going to be running 2 copies of KausGammamon. So KausGammamon, even though he is a blue card, he has the alternative Digivolution condition where he could Digivolve on top of any Gammamon for 2, so it actually allows us to be able to use this card, and he's a pretty aggressive Digimon considering he has the nice ability native to him, where during your turn, this Digimon can't be blocked. Just as a thing to note, he still can be redirected, so there still is some way to be able to defend against this card, but this is just a nice card to just try to make our Digimon unblockable as best as we possibly can. Next, I'm going to be running 3 copies of WezenGammamon. So WezenGammamon, like KausGammamon, is going to be a green Digimon instead of a blue Digimon, but has the alternative Digivolution condition where we could Digivolve off of any Gammamon for 2, and if you haven't noticed, all of our low end is all Gammamons, so that just allows us to easily utilize this card. Then this Digimon has the native ability of Piercing, so that way we could try to attack it into the opponent, and again, try to bypass and limit what the opponent is able to do to be able to stop and defend against us, just because if we are able to delete the opponent's Digimon that they're defending, or we want to just try to attack into the opponent's vulnerable Digimon, then we still get to be dealing damage to the opponent thanks to the piercing ability. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of GulusGammamon. So GulusGammamon, again, like the others that we've seen, is a purple Digimon, but has the alternative Digivolution condition where we could Digivolve him for 2 on top of any Gammamon. Then, on top of that, he has 2 really solid abilities that make him the best out of the alternative Gammamon level 4s, because his All Turns ability states that while this Digimon has a Gammamon in its name, in its Digivolution source, which it should, considering all of our Digimon are Gammamons, then this Digimon gains the Retaliation ability, so not only does it allow us to attack into the opponent's Digimon, especially if they're larger, and be able to delete them, but it de-incentivizes the opponent from attacking into our Digimon, because then they'll lose theirs. Then, on top of that, he has an On-Deletion ability to pair up with that, so even if he does die, we still get some benefit out of the card, and the benefit we're gaining is we get to play 1 Gammamon from our trash suspended for free, so it just allows us to be able to reuse our Gammamons. Next, I'm going to be running 2 copies of BetelGammamon. So BetelGammamon is going to be the last of the level 4 Gammamons that we're going to be playing, and he has the nice Wind Digivolving ability of Blitz, so that way we could try to be as memory efficient as we possibly can and still be as aggressive as we possibly can, just because the Blitz ability states that even if the memory passes over onto the opponent's side, we're still able to attack with this Digimon to try to make as aggressive plays as we possibly can. And then the last level 4 of the deck is going to be 2 copies of Agunimon. So Agunimon is in the deck just because he is going to act as the alternate win condition for that hybrid factor. So we are going to be playing some Tamers. We're not going to be playing an over-exuberant amount of Tamers, but still having some Tamers be able to sit on the field for us to use Agunimon to then Digivolve off of our Tamers into him and be able to swing is just really appealing for the style of deck, because we want to be as aggressive as early as we possibly can, especially on our level 5s. And speaking of our level 5s, next I'm going to be running 4 copies of Canoweissmon. So Canoweissmon is an absolutely insane card because it allows us to utilize all of our various cards' abilities to their utmost potential. So even though he normally costs 4 to Digivolve off of a red at level 4, he has the alternative Digivolution condition where we could Digivolve for 3 off of any level 4 that has Gammamon in its name, which is, well, the vast majority of our level 4s. Then on top of that, he has an ability where during your turn once per turn, when one of your Tamers becomes suspended, then this Digimon gets plus 2000 DP for the turn, making him 10,000 DP as a level 5, which is pretty strong. But on top of that, if this Digimon has 12,000 DP or more, then this Digimon gains Security Attack plus 1, so that way we could use him as a level 5, hitting for 12k, if not more, onto the opponent to make for a very powerful level 5 Digimon to be swinging with, especially since he has this nice All Turns ability, where this Digimon gains the effects of cards in his Digivolution source that contain Gammamon in their name, so it allows us to use Piercing, Unblockable, Retaliation, and his On-Delete ability, Blitz, and all of the other various abilities that our low-level Gammamons have. Then, on top of that, he has an inheritable ability if you want to run a level 6 in the deck, where during all turns, this Digimon gains the effect of all of the Digimon whose Digivolution source contain Gammamon in their name, so it's basically just allowing our level 6 to be able to have access at all of our Gammamon-based abilities as well. But this ability isn't exclusively locked to just being used with level 6s, because I'm also going to be running 2 copies of Kimeramon. So Kimeramon is a fantastic supplementary level 5 for this deck, just because of how aggressive this card can be. The Rainbow Evolution makes him super easy to play because we're already playing with a whole bunch of different colors, so even though if you really wanted to Digivolve him for 4 on top of any level 4, ideally we want to take advantage of his DNA Digivolution, where we could combine 2 of our level 4 stacks into 1 and basically have it be 0 to Digivolve into this card. Then on top of that, the benefit for doing so is his when Digivolving ability states that we get to place a level 5 or lower Digimon from our trash underneath this Digimon as a Digivolution source. So ideally you're going to want to stick out another color in his Digivolution source or our Canoweissmon, so that way we could use Canoweissmon's inheritable ability inside of Kimeramon. And then the reward for doing that is then up to 4 of the opponent's Digimon get minus 1000 DP for each of the different colors that this Digimon has until the end of the opponent's turn, acting as a solid debuff to potentially put them into our deletion range. Then his secondary ability feeds into his when Digivolving ability, where during your turn, this Digimon's color is treated as all of the colors in its Digivolution source, which is pretty good because we're already playing with a lot of different colors. Then, while this Digimon has 4 or more colors, it gains plus 4000 DP, so that way we can easily make him 12k as a level 5 to be extra aggressive with. Next, on to the options, I'm going to be running 1 copy of Breaclaw. So Breaclaw is going to be the boost option for this deck to try to make our Digimon even more powerful and more aggressive. So it has the main ability where one of our Digimon gets plus 2000 DP for the turn. Then by placing 1 Digimon with Gammamon in its name from our hands to the bottom of one of our Digimon's Digivolution source, we're able to draw a card. So ideally with our Canoweissmon or even with our Kimeramon, being able to shove inheritable abilities underneath them just make them even more powerful cards on top of the nice cycling effect that this card adds. Then on top of that, it has a nice security ability where we get to play 1 Gammamon from our hand or trash for free, so it's acting as a decent security threat to be able to have a solid board presence. Next, I'm going to be running 4 copies of Fireball. So Fireball is, for the most part, going to try to be the draw option, just because we need alternative ways to be able to draw cards to make our deck as consistent as we possibly can. So for the low cost of 2, having the main ability where we get to delete one of the opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less is still pretty good at trying to control and limit the opponent's low-level Digimon. Then on top of that, its secondary ability is actually what we're trying to gain out of the card, where if this card didn't delete an opponent's Digimon by its effect, then we get to draw 2 cards, so it just helps with our overall consistency and control all in one, with the security ability of activating its main, making it just a pretty decent card overall for the deck. Next, I'm going to be running 1 copy of Crimson Blaze. So Crimson Blaze is just another tech option card to try to help remove the opponent's Digimon and limit some of their actions. So it, versus some of the others, is actually a little bit cheaper to use, just because it could reduce the cost of us using this card by 1 for each Digimon the opponent has in play. So the wider field, the cheaper this card is, and this card helps us control the opponent's field because we get to delete all of the opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or less, and the opponent then can't play Digimon by card effects until the end of the opponent's turn, so it just tries to help limit the opponent's ability to be able to play their Digimon, especially for free. Then its security ability activates its main, making it just another decent security threat. And speaking of our security threats, next I'm going to be running 1 copy of Gaia Force as just the big hard removal card for the deck. So sometimes we just need to try to remove the largest body on the opponent's field, and Gaia Force is one of the best cards for doing so, just because its main ability allows us to delete one of the opponent's Digimon outright, with the security ability activating its main. Next, on to the Tamers, I'm going to be running 3 copies of Hiro. So this is the BT8 version of Hiro, and not only is he going to be the memory fixing tamer of the deck to try to help with our memory efficiency, just because his start of turn ability always allows us to be at 3 memory if we're ever less than 3 memory. Then on top of that, he's going to help us DP boost our Digimon, because during your turn, when we attack with a Digimon that has Gammamon in its name, or a level 5 or higher Digimon, then we get to suspend this tamer to have that Digimon get plus 2000 DP, so ideally with our Canoweissmon, we're going to have the DP boosting Gammamon underneath, and then when we swing with our Canoweissmon, he's going to get 2000 from his effect, 2000 from the Gammamon effect, and 2000 from Hiro, making him a level 5 swinging for 14 with a whole bunch of various other abilities that we could line up, and making him a very powerful Digimon. Even at worst, we could still use this in combination with Kimeramon and some of our various other level 4s and even our level 3s to make them more aggressive. And then the last tamer of the deck is going to be 3 copies of Hiro. So this is going to be the promo Hiro that came in the tournament packs, and, well, this is just going to be helping with the overall damage output of the deck. So it has the nice ability where during your turn, when we attack with a Digimon that has Gammamon in its Digivolution source, we get to suspend this tamer to have that Digimon gain security attack +1. So the more promo heroes we have on the field, the more damage we'll be able to do, and we're still trying to be as aggressive as we possibly can. So Canoweissmon already is going to be gaining a security attack plus himself, so if we use him in combination with this Hiro, then he'll be able to have security attack +2, being able to swing for 3 security, potentially 14k, against the opponent, making our Digimon more aggressive as a whole. And then we still have a slew of various other cards to think about in the deck, all depending on how you want to build the deck and what you're trying to gain out of the deck. So if you wanted to, as an alternative level 5, you could think about running Master Tyrannomon. Even though we're not trying to run a whole bunch of Tyrannomons, he himself will still be able to gain the security attack plus ability off of his own effect, and if we use him in combination with Kimeramon, then we could still spread the love and give the inheritable ability of security attack plus to our Kimeramon as well, while also counting as 2 colors that we're already running into the deck. Then if we wanted to, we do have a couple of decent level 6s that we could play inside of the deck. So if you wanted to, you could play the BT4 ShineGreymon just because our tamers are already going to be suspending themselves, and we can make whatever Digimon we're going into really powerful off of Canoweissmon. So ShineGreymon just adding extra security attack plus for our suspended tamers is just really, really good. But we do have various other level 6s that we could think about running as well. So if you wanted to, you could run something like the EX2 version of Gammamon just because he's DP boosting himself. He's already wanting to play and interact with tamers already sitting on the field, and he's going to make our DP-based deletion effects even more powerful while being a powerful Digimon himself. Then if you wanted to run level 7s, you could if you're running level 6s, or even if you're not running a level 6, we still have DeathXmon as the best tech level 7 that we could possibly play, just because he has the ability to reduce his own play cost and an on-play ability to be able to potentially board wipe or hinder the opponent with some good recursive removal attached to him for him sticking around on the field. Then we do have various plugins that we could run to be able to tech the deck and allow our Digimon to do various different things. So the key plugins that I would think about running is going to be Defense plugin, Offense plugin, and High Speed plugin. You could even run the Evolution plugin if you wanted to, and they're all pretty decent at doing what they need to do for how you want to build the deck around them. But we do have various other tech to be able to draw cards and add overall consistency to the deck. So if you want, you could run Hero of the Skies, not necessarily because of the security attack +1, because that only works with Cross Hearts, which we're not really trying to run. We're just going to be able to use this card to be able to draw 2 cards, similarly to what Fireball is already doing. Or if you wanted to play something a little bit more spicier, we even have Rowdy Rocker as a possible card to use, just because we could use this with our BetelGammamon and our low-level Gammamons to add to the inheritable sources to make our Digimon even stronger, on top of the fact that for doing so, we get to draw 2 cards, which is pretty decent and something we're already trying to do in the deck. Then we have various other buff options that we could think about running. So if we want to try to focus more on the promo hero and hit as hard as we possibly can with lots of extra security attack, and even if you're playing Shine as a level 6 to run in the deck, then a delicate plan to take out the threat of the opponent's security options is just a really good and appealing card to use. On top of the fact that one of the other best boost options that we have to be playing is going to be Lightning Joust, because not only is it going to be DP boosting our Digimon, it's also going to be giving our Digimon security attack plus, so they have an even higher damage output. Then, if you were looking for some extra tempo, we could run Gravity Crush, just because the gaining 2 memory is just really good to be able to make more powerful plays possible. Then we do have red memory boost because, well, it's a memory boost, so just the delay ability to gain 2 memory is already really appealing. If you wanted to, you technically could run flame memory boost, but it's not that great of an option versus red memory boost, which is adding some extra consistency into the deck. Even though we do have a lot of different colors that we could be playing around with, it still has a fairly high chance of success just looking for our red Digimon, which is the majority of what the deck still is. Then we still have a whole bunch of various other removal options in red for us to think about utilizing, with one of the better ones being Sunrise Buster. So Sunrise Buster allows us to easily set up and play our tamers, on top of the fact that it helps us DP reduce the opponent's Digimon to either delete them through DP reduction or put them in range of our own deletion-based abilities. And if you wanted to run an alternative tamer, then Tai Inkari Kamiya is definitely one of the better tamers to use for some extra memory generation based on security states. And on top of that, when our red Digimon are aggressing into the opponent, then it's going to be debuffing the opponent's security, ensuring our Digimon have an actual higher chance of success living through the security, especially if they're boosted with any security tech pluses. Or if you just want to run a different tamer to help with the overall consistency and reloadability, then Analog Youth is still a pretty good tamer just because of how cheap and efficient he is to use. But for the most part, this is just my interpretation of what a Gammamon deck is going to look like in BT10, and I think even though it's not going to be the most powerful Tier 1 hyper meta competitive deck, it's still going to be a very fun casual deck to be playing around with that could still take the opponent by surprise based on how you build the deck and how aggressive the deck can be. So that's all I really have for this video. As always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and down in the description below are a couple of different ways you could support me and the channel. So I do have a TCG Player affiliate link, so when you use that link to buy cards off of TCG Player, then some of that money will go to supporting me and the channel. I also do make and sell playmats over on Overcard Gamers on Facebook, so when you buy a playmat with my design, then some of that money will also go to help supporting me and the channel. And on top of all of that, I do have a Twitch account over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, so giving me a follow and a subscription also helps support me there, and I do play Digimon on top of various other games on that platform as well. So thank you everyone for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.